What is up? Almost 11:30. We're about to do this workout. But first I'm gonna answer this question. Ed Fritas. All right, man. I think this is what I'm gonna talk about today, but what vegan means to you. I think everyone has a different definition of vegan, what veganism is, what it is to be vegan. Can you be vegan? Are you not vegan? Is my dog vegan? What is vegan? Is it vegan food? Is vegan a diet? Is a vegan burpee? We're going to do vegan burpees, by the way, just to make it super confusing. We're doing vegan burpees. Is this phone vegan? Is what I'm drinking vegan? We're going to be talking about what vegan is it. What being vegan means. I got told I wasn't vegan because we have rescue dogs. We've rescued 2 dogs and now I'm not vegan. That was crazy to me. I was like, man, that's a vegan on another level, I think. But anyway, we're still on this 100 burpees, 100 vegan burpees. When I call it a vegan burpee, it's a full burpee, a push-up with a squat. So we're down, we're pushing up, full push-up to a squat and standing. Actually, we're going to stand and then do a full squat. So that's what we've been doing. Push up, stand, squat. So essentially you got 3 movements in one, or 3 repetitions. You got a push up, you got a burpee, and the squat. That's where we get 300 from. I'm well short of 100,000 if I continue at this path, so I'm going to need to pick it up before the year is over to hit 100,000. But the mornings weren't working, and so it's lunchtime. I think it has to be lunchtime moving forward. It's too nice not to. I got time. This is quick. Right now it's 11:25. It's the real time. So 11:23, 11:25. I got. So yeah, 100. In between, let's do this. Ground to overhead. We haven't done ground to overhead. This is with a 45-pound plate. We're taking this. The whole goal is to take it from this position straight overhead. How we do that? There's one. There's 2. And then I'll do a third one in between the sets. Easy enough. All right. Say we're going to get after this one. If you got questions, let me hit the comments. If you want me to answer anything other than this question of being vegan. And I mean, frankly, it really doesn't matter what vegan actually means. I mean, because you got so many different definitions of it. So like, how do you know? You got what is veganism? Anyway, I'll talk about what being vegan means to me in between these sets here. All right, start with 10 though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2 rounds through. So you got 20. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. All right, halfway through, so that's 50. So we're still under a 20-minute workout. If I should count these reps. Maybe we will. Because if I did 3 a round, that's 30. Can add that total reps to get it to our 100,000. We'll see. Right now it's just extra. Or halfway. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, remember in between each set, I'm picking a movement or a strength portion. Today is just ground to overhead with this is the heaviest weight I got, 45 pounds. But just get overhead. The idea is to take it from the ground straight overhead. So 3 times in a row. Utilizing the same cleaning motion, throwing the weight up, and then pressing out the rest of the way. Functional movement right there. All right, we got, what are we, 6 rounds in? All right, let's knock out 10 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, there's 10. 7 rounds through. Ground overhead again, 3 of them. All right, just essentially bringing it from the ground, using my hips to generate power, and then pressing underneath. So these become real efficient, and it really doesn't feel like taking 45 pounds from the ground straight up overweight or overhead. But if you ask, put a 45-pound duffel bag on your shoulder, that becomes different. All right, we are 7 rounds through. Let's get 10 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, 8 rounds through. Let me show the side angle of a burpee too, or of that vegan burpee next round. All right, but we got to take 3 of this, put it overhead, All right, 16 minutes through. We got 2 more rounds to get through, but let me give you side angle. Side angle. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, there's 9 rounds through that. So I got 1 more round to go. Three overhead. All right, 10 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 100. 10 rounds through. Let me do 3 more of these. All right, 1921. Under 20 minutes. And that was with 3 movements. If we were doing a strength portion, they're not going to be that fast, like a minute in between. So, but I still think it stays under 30 minutes either way. So, elbow feels good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to continue this, basically this, call it timeline. We're going to start with this and always work in a strength portion in between, or maybe not. That's at least going to be the bare minimum. All right, but day 53, so those other days, I did them. I posted kind of a mix of them all. I did I did a time lapse version, but when I try to go live here, lunch days on Mondays. Well, every day really. I'm gonna try. Either way, that's the plan, and then answer another question. But today's question is interesting because I think so many people are confused on what vegan is and applies it, or they apply it, that meaning, to all the things that they come up, or diet, tie a vegan to their diet, but then talk about veganism and what is veganism and what does it mean to be vegan, and then do you yourself consider yourself to be vegan? And I certainly do. I consider myself to be vegan by the definition that I use, or the thought process or principle behind what I choose is to not want to contribute to harming animals if it's unnecessary. Do not want to knowingly contribute to that. And so that's why I try to learn as much as we can about where your food comes from. And then so just stick to chicken. If you don't agree with how chickens are being farmed and raised and held, and only because we're doing it for food, which is unnecessary. You don't need to eat animals. And so back to the whole reason why this started is to show that you don't need to eat any animals to be strong, fit, and healthy. So we're doing that. That's been proven. I'm doing my own experiment over 9 years. The results are there if you want them. The protein is there if you want it. If you want to be a bodybuilder, and you can still not have to choose to eat animals. If you want to be a professional sports athlete, there are professional sports athletes that choose not to eat animals. So if they can do it, it is possible for you also to be able to do it. So that's where I get from. Is it necessary for you personally, based on where you're at and what you're able to influence, or what area you're in, and are you able to do it? A lot of people go on, well, if someone is in, living on an island or third world country, is it vegan? Is it okay to be vegan? And all like great, call it points to discuss. But I think the first one that we all need to understand is like us personally, like now, today, given where you're at, why do you choose to continue to eat animals when you don't have to? So what does it mean to be vegan? Meaning, that you don't have to. So why am I going to contribute to that? Why would I want to contribute to that if I know food, if I know that cheeseburger is tied to slaughter trucks and and animals being slaughtered so that I can have a burger? I choose not to do that because that's not necessary for me to have to do. I don't want that to happen. I don't agree with that to happen. And I would feel terrible if that was the reason that animal, that other being, died because I wanted to eat a cheeseburger. I wouldn't feel comfortable explaining that to anybody asking a question on why I do that. I don't agree with that. So I'd be like against what I want to happen, or what I believe in. And so this is that conflict. It's confliction. It's You're doing it even though you know it's wrong. And then your mind creates this cognitive dissonance, right? You try to settle that, and you try to find different ways because that principle is wrong and you don't agree with it. So then you try to pick and choose, or find something to protect yourself from feeling that uncomfortableness, knowing that that's happening on your behalf, or you're contributing to that. So ultimately, if you believe that to be true, I think you're vegan. A lot of people, like, that principle is exactly what that is. Let me see. B. Hargrave. Let's see, did I add it? You can be vegetarian instead of being vegan, right? Yeah, I mean you can. Oh, it's another term to throw in here, vegetarian. So to me, or the definition, vegetarians allow or they choose to eat dairy or drink milk or eggs. And so that's the key difference between vegetarian, no animals, but also eats eggs and dairy, which again is if you're in it for the animals, you're vegan, you're not vegetarian, because in no way, shape, or form would you be okay with like what's happening to the dairy industry or what's happening to chickens so that we can get eggs. And then again, you got people thinking like that's vegan even though they eat eggs, right? And I think at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. But to me, wanting to connect you back to the animals and, is it worth it, or is it, do you feel good about contributing to what you're partaking in, or what you're okay with consuming based on what's happening to the animals? And to me, that certainly isn't something that I feel good about supporting. So I certainly would not want to pay for that. So, but I mean, usually vegetarian, you talk about diets, a lot of the restaurants talk about like it's a vegetarian option, meaning you'll find milk in it, you'll find cheese, you'll find eggs. So yeah, I mean, you can be vegetarian instead of vegan, but can we meet our protein requirement being a vegan? Yeah, absolutely, man. I just talked about there's professional bodybuilders, there's Olympian athletes that are vegan. So you yourself, I think, need to question what that requirement is and where it's coming from. I think if you eat, you're going to hit your protein goals. I don't worry about protein intake. I just eat a variety of plants that make me feel good, that make me feel full, and I'm not really concerned with protein, the amount of protein required, because first, it's kind of made up. And if you listen to all the noise, everyone's talking about increasing protein, increasing this, you need this. Do you? Like, why do you need so much protein? And I'll say that plant protein is digested differently than animal protein. Haven't ate animal protein in over 9 years. Never was protein deficient, never got checked for protein deficiency, felt fine. My family feels fine. Never a protein issue. We all eat, and we have not ate any animals over 9 years. So talk to me about the requirement, where it's coming from, and we can certainly, you can have peanuts throughout the day, handful of peanuts, 5 grams, 10 grams, 5 grams. Like what amount are you trying? Like, is that even something you want to be doing? Do you want to be eating all day? So yeah, you can certainly hit your requirement, because I think your requirement is something that like is made up. Good question. Good question. What other questions you got? So anyway, being vegan. Yeah, I'm vegan because I don't believe that we should be contributing to animals dying so that I can have chicken, turkey, bacon. Like, no way, shape, or form do I want to be contributing to what's happening and what these animals are going through so that they can be slaughtered and we can eat them. Like, that just doesn't sit well with me. I just don't think any people want to be contributing to that, so they say they don't eat a lot of it. They don't, but it's either you do or you don't. And I think if as soon as you make the decision not to, you go like completely all in, and you're like you just talk about it, because it's something more people need to just talk about and address and question. Because I think for a lot of people, just questioning it and not sitting well with them, and when they go ahead and explore that option of like, let me see what a tofurkey sandwich tastes like. Let me see
what it would be like not to have a turkey sandwich anymore and use this other, plant-based version. Figure out how to make seitans, figure out how to make a lentil loaf, figure out how to make all the things that you would think that you would miss if you gave up eating animals. That's where I would start. But what does it mean to be vegan to you? And just understand that every vegan has likely their own definition of what vegan is, because for the longest time I thought I was vegan, like I consider myself vegan. I met this lady in this group who like was shouting from the top of her lungs how I was an animal abuser because we have rescue dogs, and by having a rescue dog, I took it away from an animal, call it like another animal abuser who would have adopted this animal. But then I said, well, if we didn't rescue this animal would die. Like there was a date set and everything. So this animal was going to die if we did not choose to adopt and take care of this particular Frenchie bulldog. And even though we, plant-based diet, and that's a whole nother story, but I am not vegan because I'm part of that not, apparently it's not vegan to do that. And I'm not vegan to her. But at the end of the day, I mean, I, choose not to contribute to eating animals and, speak up for animals and do these, just speak out about what's actually happening, and showing my experiment of eating no animals. Somehow that's not vegan, so but doing the best you can, making the choices as long as you have the information available. So all you need, the information is this: you don't need to eat animals to be strong, fit, and healthy. Like, straight up, you don't eat animals for health purposes, to get enough protein, minerals, vitamins, nutrients, or whatever. You can do that with plants, by eating plants, a variety of different plants. So as long as you know that you can do that, now it becomes, why would you want to contribute to, what's happening to those animals? Just stick with chickens, pigs, turkeys, cows, in gas chambers, in slaughterhouses, on farms, where they are literally slaughtered in a manufacturing facility and then shipped around the world for their body parts, to eat their flesh. So that's what it is. Uh, you either want to be contributing to that or you don't. And so do the best you can if you know that information. Why still contribute to that? So remember, you're going to want to find that answer. You're going to want to find something to settle that uncomfortableness. That is an uncomfortable question. Most people would agree that that's not a good thing to be happening to individuals, to others. And then you'll find out, right, like how you feel about certain animals over other animals. What, just start questioning. Reconnect back with the animals. Watch the animals in the wild out there, birds, chipmunks, squirrels. They're all out there doing it. All right, guys, I gotta head back. We're done. We spent 40 minutes here, answer some questions. But this is a great question. You get a lot. I think, a lot of us need to level set on what being vegan is. All vegans are not the same, just like all people are not the same, just like all individual animals are not the same and think the exact same thing. So all vegans don't think a certain thing. I think that there are some commonalities that we share, or core principles, that I think that we all can agree with, or get behind. But then you have individual levels that people take it to, and certain criterias that make it, their version of vegan. And then if you do those things, you're not vegan according to their style or definition. But I think that that's really not the point that, we should be spending time arguing about, but it's, are these things necessary to do? And, are you contributing to that? And how are you, how are you talking about that? But if you got any other questions, let me know. Great question here, though. Find out what vegan means to you and start from there. All right, guys, have a great day. We'll see you.